Yeah. So let's continue the Unit 3 of Sale of Goods Act 1930. Unit 3 is related to transfer of ownership and delivery of the goods. So we are going to see two concepts here. One is transfer of ownership and the other one is delivery of the goods. So let's understand about the transfer of ownership. Okay. Here, the main important concept you have to note down is about ownership. Okay. When do you think seller will transfer the ownership of the good to the buyer? When as you know, there are different modes and there are different there is a different manner in what way seller will transfer the ownership to the buyer. Okay, immediately he may transfer, maybe after payment of the whole price he may transfer, or maybe after payment of the EMIs he may transfer. Okay, so it depends upon the contract between both the parties. Am I correct? See, what is the reason of understanding this whole unit about transfer of ownership is nothing but you wanted to know which is the precise time. Okay. See, when seller is going to transfer the ownership to the buyer, so what is that precise time? If at all I know, okay, if at all I know, if at all I know that at this point of time, seller has transferred the ownership to the buyer, there are certain things which we can evaluate. Like, for example, risk passes with ownership. We say the statement, right? Now, if at all goods got destroyed, okay, maybe when they are placed in the godown, or maybe when they are during the transit. Now, who will bear the loss? Who will bear the loss? Right? Loss of that goods. Who will bear it? Generally, as you say, risk passes with ownership. Whoever be the owner of that good, that person will bear the risk of those destruction of the goods. Am I correct? Now, won't you think at that point of time you wanted to know whether seller is the owner or buyer is the owner of those goods? Am I correct? So that is the reason why we are going to understand this chapter. What is the precise time when seller is going to pass the ownership to the buyer? Okay. For what reason we wanted to know? For this reason. Risk passes with ownership. Okay, we are going to study again about this. Risk passes with ownership along with the exception. So to know who's going to bear the risk. For that reason, I wanted this. And the next one is action against third party. Okay. See, if at all your goods are in transit and because of some third party's negligence, your goods got destroyed. Okay. If at all, being a buyer, I'm the owner of that good, don't you think I can sue the third party and claim the damages for the destruction of my goods? Right. So who is going to take that action, whether buyer or the seller? So that thing you wanted to know. And the other one is effect of insolvency. See, why do you wanted to know the effect of insolvency is nothing bad, ma. When seller is insolvent or when buyer is insolvent, what action can they take on their opposite party? Okay. For that reason, you wanted to know before you take action, whether if at all you are the owner, you can take the action. Am I correct? For that reason, you wanted to know this. And when you wanted to file a suit for price, if at all you are the owner of that good, then you can buyer already became the owner of that good, then he has to pay the price, no? So seller has every right to file a suit on you for claiming the price. So for all these reasons, we wanted to know at which time, what is the precise time when seller is transferring the property in the goods to the buyer. Okay, you understood the consequence now for what reason we are reading this? Am I correct? So we are going to read this transfer of ownership in these types. Okay. Let me draw this. Yeah. So in what way we are going to study this? You're going to study about transfer of ownership in case of specific or ascertained goods. So in case of these goods, when owner or seller is going to transfer the ownership to the buyer. And transfer of ownership in case of unascertained goods. and goods sent on approval basis. Sale or approval basis. Very important, ma. You can expect a question as per my opinion. And last one is reservation of right of disposal. Okay. So each one we will see. Okay. So let's see about transfer of ownership in case of specific or ascertained goods. So transfer of ownership in case of specific or ascertained goods. Okay. Yep. So here, in case of specific or ascertained goods, we require intention of the parties. Remember that. See, what is your intention? Depending upon that, whether your intention is to just go for window shopping and check out whether deals are present or not, whether your intention is to, as it is emergency right now, you wanted to purchase the good. Am I correct? So based upon the intention of the parties, we're gonna sort out the whether ownership has been transferred or not. Okay. So how do you know intention of the parties? If you ask me this question, I have three things. One is based on the terms of the contract, based on the conduct of the parties, and the next one is based on the circumstances. Okay. So what is the terms? Terms is nothing but whether it is a sale or an agreement to sell. Okay. If it is sale, you'll immediately become the owner. If it is agreement to sell, in later future date, you are going to become the owner. Conduct is nothing but based upon your action, like picking a good and putting it in the basket. Okay, that means your intention is to purchase that good. Through your action also, I can analyze that you wanted to become the owner of that good and owner is ready to transfer the ownership. What about the circumstances? Circumstances is nothing but due to emergency, for example. Okay, if at all it is emergency, you'll go and purchase the good. If at all it is not emergency, you'll go for time pass and we'll just check out. That's it. Okay, so based on these three things, I can analyze the intention. What if I cannot able to analyze the intention by these three things? For that reason, we will apply these sections. Okay, so remember that sections. Yeah. So what are those three sections, ma'am? One is section 20, and the other one is section 21. And the next one is section 22. Okay, so we will apply these three sections. So what do you mean by section 20? Section 20 is specific goods in deliverable state. What do you mean by specific goods in deliverable state? Okay, specific goods in deliverable state is nothing but, first of all, you need to understand that specific good is nothing but which is in existence at the time of contract of sale. Am I correct? For example, you want to purchase a Parle-G biscuit packet from a shopkeeper, and you can see that Parle-G biscuit packet is present on that cupboard. Am I correct? So that good is present when you wanted to enter into contract with the shopkeeper. That is a specific good. Now, what happens? It should be deliverable state. That is nothing but it should be not damaged ones, and it should be something like where you can deliver to the other person. It should be in that manner, packed and everything. It should be done. What should be done to that particular good? Am I correct? So specific goods which are in deliverable state only can be transferred to the other person, and the other person can become the owner of that good. Okay, deliverable state. And moreover, here we are not going to consider. You're not going to consider about the date of time of payment, Here you are not going to consider time of payment and delivery. Okay, whether payment has been done or not, or whether delivery has been done or not, it doesn't matter. If at all specific goods are in deliverable state, whenever you make a contract, okay, let me write the point here. Whenever you make a contract with the other party, then you will become the owner of that good. For example, you went to a shopkeeper and you want that Parle-G biscuit packet. Okay. So you told shopkeeper that, shopkeeper, I wanted to purchase that Parle-G biscuit packet. Now what happened? You entered into contract with the shopkeeper. You gave an offer. Shopkeeper also told that, okay, I'm ready to sell that biscuit packet. So everything is perfect. You entered into the contract. Now, what if you pay the price later, but he did the delivery of those goods? Don't you think you won't become the owner of that good? You will still be called as owner of that good. Why? Because in case of specific goods which are in deliverable state, when you make a contract with the other party, then only you will become the owner of that good. So you made a contract, you became the owner. So time of payment is not mandatory. What if you told shopkeeper that you're going to make the payment later after 1 week? Okay, still you'll become the owner of that good. So whatever, if at all good is destroyed, so that is your responsibility then. Why? Because you are the owner. Am I correct? So your time of payment and delivery doesn't matter. And the next one is, next one is specific goods. Yes. Specific goods to be put in deliverable state. Means what, ma? Here, what happened? Your good is a specific good which is available, but that good should be done something so that to be put in deliverable state. Nothing but, for example, you went to a shop, you went to a seller and asked that you wanted to purchase timber. Okay. So you entered into contract with the other party that you wanted to purchase timber. Now, how this timber will be delivered? First of all, it should be cut, right? It should be severed from the land. Am I correct? Because it is taken from the trees. Am I correct? What they have to do? Now, seller cannot take and come that whole tree and give it to you. No, what he will do? He will cut into pieces, right? And he will arrange it in boxes and later he will do the delivery to you. Am I correct? So now, if at all you wanted to enter into contract of the goods which are not put in deliverable state yet, what seller has to do? He has to put into deliverable state first. What is the first thing seller has to do, ma? He has to put in deliverable state. Later, he has to inform you. Then you will become the owner of that good. Okay. If at all it is not in deliverable state, put it in deliverable state and inform the buyer. Then only buyer will become the owner of that good. Until and unless if at all it is not in deliverable state yet, then you cannot make the buyer the owner of that goods. Okay, that is the best example for this. And what about section 22? Section 22 teaches you that specific goods in deliverable state. Of course, these goods are in deliverable state itself. Specific goods in deliverable state, but deliverable state, seller has to do when, where seller has to do anything in order to ascertain price. Nothing but my best example. You know this, what I can, okay, example. You know this carpet, right, which is laid on the floors and everywhere. Am I correct? For example, you have taken an office and there you need carpet should be laid on the floor. Okay. And you will ask the seller, seller, please come and do the carpet flooring on my office floor. You just entered into contract with the seller. Now, what seller has to do? It is already available in nature. The good is already available. But what it must be done, ma'am? he doesn't know how much square feet your office contains. Am I correct? In how many rooms it should be laid? He doesn't know anything. He will get the material and he will lay the carpet on the floor. So based on that, the price will be ascertained. Okay. So based on the square feet, how much carpet we have laid, based on that, the price will be ascertained. So when will you become the owner of that good? Only when the carpet is laid. Of course, good is available. Whenever you make it, you enter into contract, it doesn't mean that buyer will become the owner of that food immediately. Okay. Only when it is done something by the seller in order to ascertain price. See, in order to ascertain the price of that carpet, what must be done? It must be laid on the floor. Am I correct? Only when it is laid on the floor, then only price will be ascertained and the buyer will become the owner of that good. So these three things you have to remember, ma'am, for transfer of ownership in case of specific or ascertained goods. I hope this is clear, right? And next we will talk about transfer of ownership in case of unascertained goods.